Okay, we left off with the diathesis stress model, and this is a very good visual to understand this model. Again, diathesis is just not a word that we're that familiar with, so that's something that we have to really learn. It's a predisposition or vulnerability. It's inherited predisposition to develop a mental disorder. It's like in the medical model, it's like you might have a diathesis for diabetes in your family, and you might have a diathesis for cancer or a diathesis for migraines. Grandma or grandpa had them, mom or dad had them, and now you have them. Same thing with a mental illness. It's inherited from your family through your genes. Plus a stressor, and we're talking about environmental stressors, even as early as prenatal trauma. Childhood sexual or physical abuse, family conflict, significant life changes, being poor, having to move a lot, a significant loss of a relationship, someone died that you love. And we never saw depression or anxiety or schizophrenia that you might have an inherited predisposition for until you were super stressed. And then there's the development of the disorder. Now, I don't want you guys to be depressed, but I do want to tell you that if you have an inherited predisposition for a mental disorder, college and the stress of college and the stress of feeling like an adult, but not yet getting to be a full-on adult, where you're still dependent on your parents or others for your financial well-being. You might not be able to live on your own, yet you're in college and you're responsible as an adult in all other arenas of your life. And then of course the stress of college, constantly being examined, always having homework, always preparing for exams. That stress can bring on a mental disorder. So what I have to say to you about that is we're going to do a relaxation exercise in class, and I hope that all of you will take it to heart and start practicing it and learn to say no at work when you're having to work too many hours and you feel stressed about college. Learn to say no to family members who ask you to watch the younger kids or watch your nieces and nephews or do too much so that you feel really stressed about getting your college work done. This is the reason that you try to reduce your stress. Okay, good luck with that. Okay, so perspectives on abnormal behavior. There are two charts like this in your text, and they have really good simple descriptions of here's the biological perspective, and then all the rest of these are the psychological perspective. And knowing just these kind of minimal details about each perspective will serve you well now and in the future. I do want to mention that although the testing in this class isn't super significant in terms of these perspectives, I do want you to weave in your particular perspective into your paper and into your presentation. Let's say you like the cognitive view. So you will be talking about the disorder that you have chosen in terms of the way that a cognitive theorist would explain the disorder in terms of faulty thinking and underlying abnormal behavior. And you might also like the humanistic view. So you might explain the disorder that you're doing your paper and presentation on from a couple different perspectives. The other thing that I want you to know is if you're planning to go on to graduate school, everything that you're learning right now is going to be represented in a test called the Graduate Record Exam. That's kind of like the grown-up SAT. The Graduate Record Exam, the GRE, has both a general area and a specific content area. So it would be specific psychology questions. And all this stuff is what they like to question you about. So you're learning it not only to be able to use it in our class, but you're learning it so that you know it for the future as well. Here's the rest of the chart that's in your book. So go ahead and really see if you can master this. And then I have a little exercise we're going to do in your syllabus together to see if you can master these perspectives. Okay, this one's really pretty, so why not pay attention to this one? It's got the psychological factors, the sociological factors, and the biology factors. And this is the biopsychosocial model. So it would be great if you could, if somebody were to say, well, what are the biological determinants of mental illness? And you could say, well, neurochemistry, predisposition. Somebody says, what are the psychological determinants of mental illness? You could say memory, perception, stress. What are the sociological determinants? Do you have social support? How harsh is your family background? How do you handle interpersonal relationships? All these things factor into someone having a mental disorder. Okay, you're going to notice that I haven't really talked about the psychoanalytic approach. That's because I love to talk about the psychoanalytic approach, and I want to do it in class with you. So I will be waiting till February 4th and 6th to do that with you. But I thought I would show you this one. We learn so much from twin and adoptee studies. Our twin studies, researchers identify individuals with a specific disorder who are members of monozygotic or dizygotic twin pairs and then study twin pairs. And they find that there's a much higher rate of both twins having a disorder if they're monozygotic pairs. These are identical twins. These are fraternal twins. The part of that that I think is interesting is twin studies. So identical twins, 100% of their genes are in common as compared with 50% overlap in fraternal twins or any other two siblings. So establishing that identical twins are more likely to share a given disorder than are fraternal twins provides strong evidence for genetic contribution to the disorder. And I'm pretty partial to these three right here. This is my daughter Britt. This is my son Brett and his twin brother Brad. And my phone's ringing and I thought I had turned it off. Whoops. Okay, so those are my three kids. And I can tell you this one works at Salesforce in San Francisco. So that great big high building that's been built in San Francisco that's 60 floors high, he is the global logistics manager and he is responsible for making the workplace work inside that building and many others. She has a master's degree in sport management and she works at University of California at San Francisco and she helps with fund development for medical research and medical equipment. And he has a master's in business administration. He works at Nike in Oregon at the headquarters and he is in Nike Intelligence, which means that he helps monitor the world for threats to Nike facilities and Nike employees and helps put out alerts to make adjustments so that all things Nike are safe. Okay, that's the end of this session. Look forward to talking with you next time.